jerk bait is nasty. We're going to give you the pro tips. We're going to give you some serious inside pro tricks and tips for the jerk bait. Man, it's one of those baits I absolutely love, and it has been something that early on in my career I didn't throw a whole lot because I just didn't completely understand it. Having my brains beat in by a guy named Kevin Van Dam for a number of years, started to take a look, and over the years I've learned a lot. So let's get right into it. Right here, just any jerk bait. I'm going to tell you the number one thing that will help you catch more fish with that jerk bait. Number one is that speed catches more fish. What I mean is that when you throw that jerk bait out and you reel up a little bit to get it going down, and then you start jerking it, the more speed you go with, I would say the more that you're going to catch. Early on in my career, I thought it was like you got to figure out the cadence. 1, 2, 3, and then stop it. 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, stop. 1, 1, stop, and just leave it for a long time. These pauses are almost a waste, and you don't get to cover near as much water doing that. That guy I mentioned earlier, KVD. I mean, I fished against him for a long time, and I never forget. Almost every single time I saw him, no matter the season, no matter what the water temperature was, I would see him throw that jerk bait, and it was nonstop, just bam, 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 bam. And this is way before forward-facing sonar, so he couldn't see. He was just going by feel and by what was going to get more strikes. So you can see this a lot more with the forward-facing sonar. If you're using that, you can see it. You can see it in real time. Is that once you get that bass interested in it, boom, boom, keep going. Don't stop it. Don't slow it down. That's going to be your number one takeaway here. I'm going to give you a bunch more really good tips here for the jerkbait. That is going to be your takeaway right here, right now. Please do not forget that I said, boom, boom, boom. Just keep going fast. And like once they get interested in it, then you're just going to keep it going like you're almost trying to get it away from them. You will catch way, 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 way more fish on that jerkbait. That's number one, for sure. Number two is you don't need to go with tiny line to get that action out of your jerkbait. A lot of it has to do with the cadence and how you hit that jerkbait. You need to hit it on slack line. I'll tell you that I've fished a lot of tournaments, and I fished a lot side by side with people, and you can outfish people once you get the right cadence and once you get that right slack. So you're gonna throw it out there real, and then you're gonna feed it some line, and then boom, boom, boom. So you're gonna be hitting that bait on slack line. So you're gonna be making that that line and your rod tip. You can hear it go across the top of the water. You should create bubbles on the top of your water because you're hitting that line when it's slack. You're not hitting it while it's tight. You're not gonna reel up your slack and then jerk, because all you're gonna do is just kind of scoot the bait. What you want to do is hit that bait on slack line so that it poop, 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 goes side to side and gets very, very erratic. That erratic action is the deal with that jerk bait. That is another little pro tip. Another pro tip is that I think there's a big misnomer that all jerk baits need to be a suspending model. Suspending model jerk baits are very good. I would say that might be what you want to use 60-70% of the time. There are absolutely times, especially in the wintertime, maybe not as much in the cold water, maybe the opposite, but there are times when you want your jerkbait to sink. And there's different ways to do that. Number one way to do that is just upsizing your hooks. This is a Spro McDart, very, very good. It came out a year or so ago. This is very erratic. And these are the hooks that come on it. The number 5 round bend Gamakatsus. But let's go ahead and excuse me, I'm gonna get into my glasses here, and you're gonna go ahead and get into your, let's say your Megabass Plus 1. Let's say you're a Megabass Plus 1. You can see I've got a number 6 round bend and then 2 number 5s. I can tell you right now, you throw that bait out there, bloop, 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 it's going to slowly sink. You can sink that bait down to get it 8, 10, 12, 15, 20 feet deep. You can get that thing super deep, way deeper than you thought. So you're going to be able to draw fish out of 20 to 30 feet of water that might be deeper in the wintertime. You know, you got the big bill jerk baits. These things are actually really good around brush. That big bill helps keep them from getting hung up in brush piles. So that's one of the other cool things about the big bill. But you don't necessarily have to. So you don't have to take, you know, cases and cases of jerk baits. You can have some normal lip, you know, like that McDart. You can have some normal McDarts, and then upsize the hooks. Maybe if you need to, you can add a little suspend strips. Like I like to do it right here and right here on front and back of that front treble hook, because that's where you want that bait to be going down. That is a good way to get your bait down to fish that are a little bit deeper, that have not maybe seen a jerk bait. That is my next tip, is that one of the cool things about a jerk bait is, and like super secret squirrel stuff, is throwing that jerk bait places that nobody else is throwing a jerk bait. So let's say here in Virginia, you got Smith Mountain Lake here near where I am. Smith Mountain Lake, great lake, okay? Very good, relatively clear water. Seems like a good place for a jerk bait, correct? Correct, of course. Other people will be throwing a jerk bait, but let's go to the other side of the state and look at, maybe we've got the James River. Do you think a lot of people are going to be throwing a jerk bait there? Probably not. Probably not. So what we can do there is we can take a bait like that McDart, and then we could probably go even smaller. Go smaller on your hooks, or if you want your bait to float, which is the other trick that I was going to tell you about, is you can get your baits to sink, get them down deeper, but you can also put lighter treble hooks on there and take that suspending bait and make it slowly rise, so that you can jerk, pop it, get it to stay up above the cover. So if you're fishing a grass line in 3 feet of water, you want to throw a jerk bait down that grass line, dude, nobody's throwing that jerk bait. Everybody's throwing a stinking chatterbait or dragging a worm like a Statue of Liberty out there, you know, dragging the worm. Dude, nah. Just here's the deal with get the G-Finesse, G-Finesse treble hooks, the Aaron Martin treble hooks. They have the MH model, which is the medium heavy. These are lighter than the normal Gamakatsu round bend or any round bend treble hook. These ones are lighter. These are even lighter. If I'm going to be fishing somewhere where there's real big fish, you know, I'd say bigger than 5 pounds, and I know it. If around a lot of spotted bass, the regular G-Finesse are fine. But if I'm going to be around places with a little bit bigger fish, and I'm probably going to have to put a little more pressure on them, boom, boom, boom. That guy right there is what I go to when I want that bait to stay higher. And if I'm fishing smaller jerk baits, like let's say, you know, a little baby 110 Junior, or whatever they call that thing, the little Megabass 110 Junior, a smaller jerk bait, you can put these treble hooks on there. So you can put a relatively meaty treble hook on a smaller bait, and it won't sink it if you don't want to do that. So it just gives you a lot of options to be able to play with the weight and to get your treble hooks to, you know, line up with what you want that bait to do. That's a huge deal for me. So if I want to take that McDart like we have, oh, it's already stuck on the truck bed here. If I want to take that McDart and I want to keep it so it doesn't go very deep, I'm going to swap out to those MHs in the number 5, and that bait is not going to sink. I probably won't be able to get that thing deeper than 3 feet. I'll probably keep it in that 2 to 3 foot range most of the time, and I can jerk it relatively fast. I'm going to be catching fish on a jerk bait in places other people are not. I could throw that thing around cypress trees, peep, 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 only keeping it maybe a foot or two, and then boom, catching those fish. Here is another tip. Give you another little pro tip. I'm just gonna slam pack you with little pro jerkbait tips. Is that you know everybody jerks with the rod tip down, pump, 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 pump. Every once in a while, just do an up jerk, bump, bump, maybe once or twice. Reel up your slack and then start jerking down again. And what happens is that bait gets a cadence of going down, don't, and then all of a sudden you hit one with an up jerk and it shoots it up a foot or two. And if you do it a couple times, it'll shoot it up again, and then it starts to work itself back down. That little up jerk is a nice little trick. That is dirty on them sometimes, especially if you get those ones that are following it and they're not biting it. Hit them with an up jerk or two. Sometimes that can be the trigger. But making sure you have the right rod is also important. Caching topwater jerkbait rod, the Icon series. That's what I've caught a zillion fish. I go with I'm gonna give you the exact model here. I'm gonna go with a 7-footer. It is the 7-foot extra fast, medium heavy, but it has a very soft tip. You can see maybe that it has a pretty soft tip, but it has some backbone. I do not like a total noodle for the jerkbait. I do not want that noodle because there's a lot of times I'm making long casts, reel down, and I start jerking, and then you get that hit. You have got to drive those treble hooks. You got to be able to reel up the slack and put enough pressure on that fish that when they shake their head and come up, because a lot of times they do that, they shake their head and then they come up immediately, and they will throw that jerkbait even with nine hooks on there. They will throw that thing a lot if you can't put enough pressure on them to get those treble hooks to embed in their face, because a lot of times they're slapping at it, and you've got to really put some pressure on the outside of their face to be able to dig those treble hooks in there, even though they're gamakatsus or whatever, super sharp treble hooks. That is a big deal. You need to make sure, but you don't want something that is too stiff. If you've got a rod that's too stiff, then you're going to put too much pressure on them, and you won't be able to work the bait properly. So that's why that rod right there specifically is absolutely money. That's a 7 GF model reel. I like the higher speed. Either a 7 or 8-to-1 is fine. 6-4-to-1 is okay. I like the higher speed because you can reel up your slack so fast. Because remember we're talking going fast, going quick, pop, 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 pop. You can keep up with that bait, and then when they hit it, a lot of times they will hit it from behind and knock some slack in it. Sometimes you end up catching up with them way over here somewhere. So that being able to catch up with them, and then the line that I fish is I've gone to this about 2 years ago, and it is, in my opinion, the deal for a jerkbait, and that's the Crank FC from Sunline. It's got a little extra stretch versus some of the other lines. It's stretched more like the Sniper. Got a decent amount of stretch, but it also has that plasma rise on there. So when you're hitting that bait, you're making a lot of contact with the surface of the water, and that plasma rise cuts through the water so easily. I think it gives the jerkbait more action because that plasma rise is really smooth and comes through the water better than any other line without that coating on it, without a doubt, period. And if you don't understand what that coating does, you could take your line, put it in the water, and then lift it up. And when you lift your line up out of the water, there is zero water that's on your line, because it just absolutely just comes right off. It's that coating that goes on the outside of the line. It actually changes the molecular structure, so nothing really sticks to it. That's why I think that bait has more action to it. So Sunline Crank FC, huge deal for me as far as I'm concerned on a jerkbait. I know that McClellan and a number of other really good jerkbait fishermen, they exclusively use that on their jerkbaits, and that's what helps them catch more fish, in my opinion. So that's another little pro tip. Man, I could go on and on about jerkbaits, but that's all I'm going to give you today. That's your insider pro tips and secrets on jerkbait fishing to help you catch more fish. Guaranteed. You listen to this video, go out there and implement it, and you will absolutely catch more fish on a jerkbait year round, using it in places other people are not using it. That's another one of those little hushy deals. And if you have any other tips, you want to drop them down there, and let us all know. We can all learn. But as for now, take that jerkbait out there and just put that thing to work.